Hi everyone, this is Nate Piekos of Blambot, and welcome to Lettering Live. I think we'll call this one a spotlight because it's not really a regular episode and it's not really a quick tip, so maybe we'll start doing something new called Spotlight. This is the cover spread for Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland Volume 1 by Skottie Young and a whole bunch of other collaborators and myself. And I just finished this yesterday, and Skottie gave me permission to show this to you all because the front cover I think is already out. You can see the front cover and promotions online. But I thought I'd show you how I came up with the back cover and spine to complement this cover. So this crazy, insane, awesomely cool sticker cover is by Mike Del Mundo. And I mean, there's just so much awesomeness going on here. Mike actually made all of these stickers, I guess, in Photoshop and compiled this whole collage here. And it's just so awesome. I mean, there's so many different styles going on. So many little tiny details like, look, copyright of you can't read this. Crazy stuff. But anyway, my challenge was to come up with a spine and back cover that complements this front cover. And on the front cover, the only things I did was obviously I designed the I Hate Fairyland logo. And I did the by Skottie Young, which I gave to Mike. I designed it in Illustrator. That's just my handwriting. I gave it to Mike. Mike turned it into an awesome sticker with all the little folds and reflection and grit and warping. And it's so cool. When we all saw this cover, we were just blown away. So this is such a busy front cover. I didn't want to compete with it. I didn't want the back cover to just be a whole bunch more stickers. I mean, a few stickers obviously works. You got to carry the design across. But I didn't want to fight with it. I wanted to keep things pretty simple. So my first idea, and when I don't like to just sit in front of a computer with no idea, because then I just sit here in front of a blank document and I drive myself crazy. And so I usually wait until I've got some sort of a concept in my head, or at least some design element that I can use as a starting point, a springboard into the rest of the design. And in this case, it was the "Hello, my name is Muffin Fluffer." I knew I wanted that on the back somehow, somewhere. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if the back cover just sort of looked like a dirty old notebook? Like a college ruled notebook back cover. And now I'm not great in Photoshop. Photoshop isn't my forte. I'm more of an Illustrator guy. I work with vectors a lot more. So this was a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I still do work with Photoshop a little bit. And let me shut off the guides here. Okay. So I still work in Photoshop a little bit, so I'm not completely clueless as to how this stuff works. And all these textures and stuff are mine. I photograph a lot of textures out in the wild, or I create textures like the splatters. That was watered down ink that I splattered with a toothbrush. And I save all this stuff on my hard drive for use later. Anytime I see a cool organic texture out in the world, I take a picture of it. So let's go through the back cover and spine. I'm going to shut off pretty much all these layers, and we'll take a trip down how I compiled this. Okay, so the first thing I did was I sampled this yellow from this sticker right here, and I made that the basic background of everything. And I wanted this to look like an old notebook. Now, I could have just scanned an old notebook, but I don't know. I felt like I could do a better job if I had sort of layered some things. So the first thing I did was this texture of old paper, and the opacity, I dropped it down to like 34%, but I'm going to bump it back up so you can see it. So this is an old piece of newsprint from the late 1800s. I think it was 1850s or 60s that I found in an antique shop, and I bought it because it was so cool. I mean, how often do you find super old newsprint? And I scanned it in, and now I've got chunks of this in as Photoshop documents that I can use. So let's drop this back down to 34. So that gave us some pretty cool gritty texture in here, especially there's a little fold right here. See it right there? I love that. I love little tiny stuff. Let's see, the next thing I did Where's the splatters? So let's go up here to splatters. I'll turn on splatter number 1, which is this down here. And this again I did with a toothbrush and some watered down ink and scanned it in. And this is at 34% as well, but let me bump it up to 100. Oop, that's the wrong thing. Go back to splatters, 21. Now it's 100, okay? So we've got that. And I drop down the opacity of that. And splatter number 2 is up here. Turn that one back on. That one's 21. Is that 21 as well? No, that's also locked. So let's unlock it. 30%. So here we're starting to build some design elements, right? Starting to make things look dirty. So let's go to the name sticker. This was my initial point of entry into this whole design. I just love these terrible old hello, my name is stickers, and you'll notice I was grammatically correct. Most of them I found online for reference did not have the comma, but I am a letterer, and that would drive me nuts. So I designed that in Illustrator. Here it is, right here. And this is not white. It's all the whites I used on this back cover and the spine are slightly off-white, just to make them look aged. So let me get rid of, Muffin Fluffer here. Drag it away. And this is a texture, another texture that I took a photo of, vectorized, made it slightly darker than the background white, and dropped it on top of the hello, my name is. And this Muffin Fluffer is actually Skottie's hand lettering. The morning I was working on this, I texted him and I said, hey Skottie, give me 3 or 4 versions of the words Muffin Fluffer in your crazy hand lettering. And this is what he sent me back about 15 minutes later. And I took, I think it was these 2 right here. I edited them a little bit to make them a little more legible. You'll see that the E comes up right here into the F, and I chopped that out just to make it a little bit more readable. So, hello, my name is Muffin Fluffer. And this is exactly what I saw in my head. So this goes back in here. We'll turn on Muffin Fluffer. There we go. And I looked at how Mike made his Photoshop stickers look convincingly real. There's a little bit of drop shadow, there's a little bit of edge tear, and so I tried to do my best to sort of, clip the edges a little bit, add that little bit of drop shadow. And keep in mind that when we're this zoomed in, things aren't going to look as real as they are in print when they're about that big, So let's see what's next. So on covers, on any cover spread, there are things that have to be there. The description, the tease of what's inside the book, the barcode area, the publisher's mark, and it's your job as a designer to make those pleasing and design them so that they fit and look good with the rest of the, the front cover and everything else. So, the blurb, here it is. I didn't write this. I think Joel wrote it, who's our editor on this series. And this is, obviously it's a font, but this is a font called Daft Brush. And instead of hand lettering this, I chose to use Daft Brush because we use it on a lot of I Hate Fairyland projects. And in fact, it's used quite a bit on the inside pages of this book. So I wanted to tie the cover, some of the cover elements to the inside of the book, the inside design elements. So I decided, okay, I'll use this font. It's not one of mine, Daft Brush. I will have to look that up and see who created this, but it's one of Skottie's. Skottie likes this font. So this is not justified to its center. It's actually, I broke it apart, and some of the lines are farther left, some of them are farther right, just to make it look a little more organic. So we next have the I Hate Fairyland, which I hand lettered. That's just my natural hand lettering, everyday writing. And I did this on a piece of typewriter paper with, or printer paper, geez, showing my age there, huh, typewriters. I did this with a pit marker, and I think and I scanned this. I didn't go into Illustrator as a intermediary between the actual creation of the words and Photoshop. I just put this right in Photoshop because I like the texture of it. It was a little bit, I think it was a gray marker, so it was a little bit see-through. And I think I just tinted it a little bit teal for this because we use teal somewhere else coming up. But anyway, Untold Tales. Let's see, the tagline is the unbelievable, unfortunately mostly unreadable, and nearly unpublishable Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland. And that is also Daft Brush. And you'll notice nothing here is at right angles to the, to the edges of the book. Everything is slightly skewed, and it's just to make things look organic and look like a kid's old notebook. So let's go down to a couple of things that have to be there. So let's talk about the image logo, the publisher's mark. Let's see, image right here. You can't really mess with a publisher's mark. I can't go crazy and do crazy design stuff with it. Or maybe I could, but I try not to, because a publisher's mark is a registered trademark. You don't want to mess with it too much. In this case, I made it a little bit see-through so we could get some of these textures, but that's about it. And obviously I skewed it a little bit out of true. Next to the image, this is just my hand lettering, a little sloppy. I wrote it with a Sharpie on some printer paper, scanned it in, made it the same color as the image. So this is all stuff that has to be there. It's just, as a designer, it's your choice to how it's going to show up. Here's the next thing that probably one of my favorite things was this. So Image is going to put the barcode in here. So I'm basically providing them with a space to add the barcode. But I created this in Illustrator. So let's go back to Illustrator. Switch to my zoom tool. And obviously this looks like a chaotic mess, but yeah, it is. It's just all my elements. I saved this document so I could pull things out and put them where I need them. So this is just another sloppy sticker. I wanted it to look super generic, like 1988, CVS price gun kind of thing. I think this is just like Arial heavy, this text. And this is another texture that I vectorized, and it's just slightly, I'll zoom way in. You see, it's just, it's just slightly darker than the off-white background. And even the text, I sort of chopped out little bits of the text with that texture. But this stupid old school price tag is probably my favorite thing on the whole back cover. It just reminded me of being a little kid and shopping at a department store or a pharmacy for, G.I. Joes and Transformers and Star Wars toys. The old school price gun look. And obviously, here we are blown up this big. It's not going to look as super real as it will when it's, 3/4 of an inch wide. About that big, maybe a little less. So I copied this over and dropped it here on the back cover. And I didn't want these two elements to be perfectly aligned, so obviously this sticker is higher up than this. They're at different angles. And you may have seen when I flipped over to Illustrator, this is the Gert skull, or it's my quickie Sharpie version of the Gert skull. There's one that Skottie did that's on the back cover of all the issues of I Hate Fairyland. I didn't know if I could use this somewhere on the back cover as an element. I didn't end up using it, but I saved it here anyway. So let's talk about the spine. So all the spines on I Hate Fairyland trades basically have the same layout. They have a block at either end. The top has the image logo, text logo, and the bottom has the number of the volume. And we use this font here in the middle generally, and all that changes are the colors and obviously the text, depending on what trade paperback this is. So I just sampled colors from Mike's cover in here, and I just chose colors for the spine. And the reason we do this is so that the spines all sort of look the same. Let me turn the spine back on. They all sort of look the same. So if you have a bunch of the I Hate Fairyland trades and they're all next to each other on your shelf, there's sort of a homogeneous look. You can tell, you can spot them on your shelf. They all have sort of the same spine. And in this case, I made the background see-through, so you get some of that notebook texture. That's obviously not typical on most of these, and you can see some of the splatter back here. And that's it. So I sent this off. This was my first idea. I sent it off to Skottie and Joel, and it got approved enthusiastically right away. Like basically no changes, which is crazy and very rarely happens. but it's awesome when you're a designer and you can send something in and it just gets approved. You're done. Of course, me saying, well, let me push things a little further, I thought, let me try one more thing. I wanted to try this bottom corner with a tear in the cover, and so I did a B version, and here's that B version. So this is an actual back. I grabbed the notebook out of the studio here, and I tore a chunk out of the back cover, scanned it in, and it was a college ruled notebook. So college ruled lines on paper there's a 1/4 of an inch of space. I measured it between the blue lines on the pages. So when I scanned this in and put it on here, I made sure that there was a 1/4 of an inch between the lines. So I scaled it, so it would look realistic. If you actually measured that up against an actual page of a college notebook, it would be the appropriate size. However, Skottie vetoed this idea. He said, no, you nailed it on the first try, which is a huge compliment. And that's just sort of the way it goes. You try some things and some things work and some things don't. So we ended up going with the original. And I think that's about all I've got. This book should come out soon. I'm not exactly sure on a date, but if you Google it, I'm sure you can find out. And that's it. Thanks for coming along on this tour of the Untold Tales of I Hate Fairyland, Trade Paperback Volume 1. Take care.